So let's be quite open and frank here. The price of cardboard and plastic little cases that have games and cartridges in them feels like it's at an all-time high. Nostalgia is a hot commodity right now, and you might be wondering, well, how do you collect? What kind of things are we here at TNF collecting? So I thought today I would sit down and have a chat about the things that I have been targeting and what I'm looking at getting in 2026, as well as a few different things that we'd like to bring you guys on this channel in the weeks and months to come. Games we're playing, the things we're going to go see and do, all of that fun stuff. Welcome back to TNF, and yeah, I feel like this has been a video that's been a little bit overdue because we are fast approaching the 1 year anniversary of this channel. As it stands, this video is going to come out just before that 1 year anniversary, as April 16th was the date where we launched the very first video on here. It feels like and the time has just simply disappeared. It's an entire year just gone like that. Kind of crazy, actually, when you think about it. It's a bit mad. A lot has changed, and I think it's about time that we kind of update everyone at home about what that looks like for us and what it is we're up to. So yes, as you'll have seen, in terms of game playing, we've been trying to dabble a little bit more into gameplay on the channel. So you'll have seen that the Metal Gear Solid 1 video has already dropped, where I have dove back into game franchises that for whatever reason have just completely passed me by. And that gameplay is up. If you guys want to go watch that, there will be a link in the description, and I'll try and get something on the screen for you guys to tap. But put it in another tab or keep it in your back pocket. Don't go watch it just yet. But yeah, I've absolutely loved my time with the franchise so far. It's been a ton of fun, and to the point where I knew that about maybe like 2 or 3 hours into playing MGS1 that wasn't going to be the only Metal Gear Solid game that I was going to play, and I was going to have to play the second and third one at the very least, which we are currently in the process of working on that gameplay, and that will be with you next week, so keep an eye out for that one. A little bit of a teaser for that. I have completed it at the time of recording, but we're, getting together our thoughts on the gameplay. Man alive, what a game. The first two I can only speak for because I haven't played past that, but they are some of the best storytelling I've seen in games maybe ever. That may be controversial, but I've really enjoyed my time so far. It's been a ton of fun, and that will be coming to you guys soon. And I think we're going to have to check out the third one just to see how that trilogy wraps up, though I'm pretty sure that the third one's a prequel, right, and the fourth one ends it. I could be wrong on that, so no doubt there'll be more, but I've really enjoyed my time with it. It's been a ton of fun, and that is a risk that paid off in terms of me buying a bunch of games that I wasn't sure if I was going to like, but it turns out that, yeah, not only do I like them, I love them. Even if I am completely crap at them, it is a lot of fun to play. And the fun around game collections doesn't stop there, as Saunders will have a video that is dropping soon around the things that he's collecting. He quite likes his collectible cards as well, like wrestling cards and things like that. He's big into that. So no doubt you will see things about that in the weeks and months to come. But we've really enjoyed the hunt. Obviously, we had a video that came out recently around this hunt that he's doing, and we tried to find one in the flesh, but we didn't get anywhere with that, unfortunately. I think he has some grand plans though of about how he's going to address that and how he's going to get himself something, because it's about time that he got that game and played it. Because I think for him, I know for me in particular, but for him I think it's been a long time since he has played it, so I think it's only right that he grabs that to play it. Then what does that look like on the channel in terms of collecting from me? Well, there's been a few different sets that I have been collecting. Like, obviously, as I go on Vinted, I go on eBay, I go around to CEXs, I'll find things that I like the look of, and I'll go, I will enjoy that game and play it at some point, and I'll grab it. I try not to buy things that I will have zero intention of playing. I do try and keep it somewhat curated into things that I will play at some point, and I think I will enjoy, or in some cases, I have already loved that game and played it before, but for a reason I just don't have it anymore. I try and do that more often than not. So far that has worked for me with the Metal Gear Solid franchise. Absolute big ticks. We've got the 5 main console releases, as well as Substance and Subsidence as the other PS2 versions of 2 and 3 respectively. So now that I've played 2, I can probably sit down one night and sit and watch the documentary DVD that's on there and kind of find out a little bit more about the development cycle and stuff, because that kind of stuff really interests me. I'm a bit of a nerd on that. I actually did games design stuff at uni, so it's kind of my wheelhouse, as it were. In terms of then what will come next from collecting, so one of the sets that we were looking at recently was the EA Big franchise. Now, I've done reasonably well, I think, and that I haven't bought too many of these online. You know, I've been able to pick up these as we go around in hunts. Like, I already owned SSX Tricky. We've waxed lyrical about SSX Tricky on the channel, and we love it to bits because it is one of the best sports games of all time. I'm now at a point when it comes to the EA Big games where I don't have too many left to find. In terms of the PS2 ones, it's NBA Street Home Court, NBA Street Volume 3, I think, and NFL Street 1 and 2. Those are all PS2 games that I need to find, and it's NFL Tour for the PS3 and SSX Blur for the Wii, which I do not own a Wii. I think if I got that, I would want to play it, so might have to go out and purchase a Wii again. We had a family Wii a long time ago, and it is something that it's quite fun to mod them, right? Like, because it was very easy. I used to be able to even like mod them using like the soft mods that you could put a hard drive in. Stuff like that was super easy to do. And then NBA Street Showdown is a PSP game, I believe. Now, I used to have a PSP a long time ago. Don't know where mine's has gone. Clearly gonna have to go out and hunt that, or maybe I have to get myself a PSP, or find out if the Vita allows backwards compatibility. I have absolutely no idea if it does. Maybe I would get a Vita, and then that would kind of tick the boxes off, because there's one or two Ratchet and Clank games that I think were Vita only that I don't own. But there is one EA Big title that has eluded me that I've not seen before. I believe at the time of recording it's out of stock in CEX nationally, and that is Freakstyle. Freakstyle is a game I don't know a massive amount about. I don't think I've seen any footage other than when we spoke about EA Big games before, and I've went and done some hunting to try and find what that looks like. That looks like it's like £20+ on eBay. I'm kind of hoping I come across that one, like, you know, organically at some point. I suspect not though, and I might have to bite the bullet and buy that on eBay, which is a bit of a shame because I do quite like buying them in person. However, that's probably the one that we would leave as the last game to purchase in this series, and then we'll do a whole big showcase on that, right? I'm going to have to sit and play that if it is the quote-unquote most expensive one, because I think, is it NBA Street 2 is like 15 quid, 10-15 quid. That was the most expensive one I bought. Everything else has been, you know, honestly like £5 or less. Really affordable and really cheap. But that one, it looks like, I think because of rarity, it costs a few quid. Maybe it's good. I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, I don't know, but that could be fun. But certainly, in terms of that subset, we're doing okay. I'm doing reasonably well, which is good. Another subset that we'd been collecting on the channel was the Final Fantasy series, where I was trying my best to get a hold of a copy of each mainline game and trying to avoid spin-offs too much, because I had this inkling that I might quite enjoy Final Fantasy. I don't have a massive amount of familiarity with the series. I remember playing 13 on the Xbox 360, and for whatever reason, I don't know if it was my television or, I don't know, maybe I was ill that day, but I remember playing it and it used to give me a headache. Like, I don't know if it was just the way that the colour saturation was. So because of that, I don't really have much in the way of familiarity with it. I bought the 1 through 6 remasters that they brought out for PlayStation, and I played through, I still have yet to actually go back and finish the first one, but I played through all of that as like a quick, let's see what it's like. And I actually really liked it, even if it is, you know, really old. There's no real, like, you know, they've not established the whole main characters, and like, you name all the characters and stuff, which is kind of interesting. But as someone who hasn't played an awful lot of JRPGs in their time, thought, this is quite interesting, quite like that. I know at some point I want to go and dive into these, so I've grabbed them all now. Like, I have the mainline ones that you can get for consoles originally. So I've got like Origins and Anthology that has 1 and 2 and 4 and 5 in it. Is that right? I've got 6, and then 7 through 9 all on PS1, and then we've got the main lines PS2 and onwards up until the FF7 remakes, the much maligned FF7 remakes, but at some point I will go and play them. I don't know where to start with in terms of Final Fantasy, because I've heard so many differing opinions. Like, I've heard some people say just start from the first one and just like play each one of them to see the evolution, even if each game is, you know, sort of self-contained, doesn't necessarily cross over into the sequel unless it's a sequel that has the number in, so like 10-2 being the sequel to 10, that kind of thing. Others say to start with like 6 because it was quite good. 8 or 9's meant to be quite fun. Some people just jump straight to PS2 and go to 10, and then others obviously suggest FF7, which is meant to be one of, if not the greatest games of all time to play. I've seen a lot of people talk about FF7, and I think tonally, I think it kind of speaks to me a little bit that I'd be tempted to go and play that. My concern though is with playing FF7 as the first one is, if you start that at that bar, right, and say it's amazing, like say I love the game, where do I go from there? You know, that's a little bit of a concern. So if you guys have thoughts in the comments about where I should start with Final Fantasy at some point, we'll try and bring it to the channel and we can chat about it. You know, why wouldn't we? Sound off in the comments below. Let me know what you think around that, because I'd love to read you guys' opinions at home. So in terms of what other subsets I could then tackle, because obviously there is not a crazy amount of games left to get in the EA Big Series. I think I've got the ones that I want for Final Fantasy. I'm kind of unsure what the next ones are. I've been tempted. Let me kind of tell you like what my kind of thought process is here in terms of the collecting side of things. There's a few different avenues that I think I might go down. One avenue is to go down through games where I played nothing in the series and I think I would like. So that would be something like Sly Cooper is probably one that intrigues me a little bit. I do have the remaster trilogy for PS3. I managed to get a reasonable price on that. I think middle of last year I managed to get it for like 25 or 30 quid off of someone, which was handy. I've never ever played them before, but other than a demo where I played a demo disc for PS2, like from the old PS2 magazines like 20 years ago or something, and I actually quite liked it. I thought it was really, really fun, but I never ever owned them, and I'd be tempted to either maybe jump into the PS3 version or try and get the PS2 copies, but I know that they aren't cheap, but they're only ever going to go one way. So that's one thing that I'm thinking about could be an option. Another option could be to go back and play a game franchise that I abandoned really, really quickly. Tried to revisit it a few years back and I just couldn't get into one of the games, but I heard that was a problem that people had, which was the Assassin's Creed franchise. So I remember when these games first came out thinking that they were absolutely mind-blowing. Like the first 3 games in particular are just insanely good. Like 1, 2 and Brotherhood are just unreal bits of game. I really liked at the time how it was able to weave in the modern day elements and the sort of sci-fi story they were setting up with the old-timey stories that they were making up also of the assassins and how those all link together. I know that recently they've started to bin off the modern day stuff, which is a shame. I always quite liked that. But that's one option, because I know that certainly from memory, I can't remember what I did with Revelations, and I maybe tried 3 and then stopped. But I've never played Black Flag, which is kind of insane when a lot of people think that it doesn't have the same Assassin's Creed elements exclusively throughout it. You know, they brought all the stuff around the ships and what have you. People say that game's meant to be sensational, and I have never touched it. I know there's meant to be a remake or a remaster or something coming, but I'd be tempted to maybe get involved and play some of those games, like maybe go back to Revelations and then go from there. I dabbled a little bit in the Ezio collection and I actually quite liked my time with it. I can't remember if I finished 2, but I know I was just kind of, playing it on the couch. So that's another thing that I've been thinking of. Maybe it would be something like just buying something that's like completely out of my comfort zone and going down that, like maybe like finding like a sort of mech game or going something that's a bit more puzzly, those kinds of things. I haven't played an awful lot of modern games either. I'm a bit iffy with that, and I know that Forza Horizon is coming out in May. That's also an option. So there's lots of things that I'm thinking about in my head about what could be the next things to collect and play and what have you on the channel. So lots of different ideas on that front. I know that Saunders is going to update you on what he has coming and those kind of that kind of chat, because I think he's very much ready to get himself hunkered down and play some games, because it's been a heck of a long time for him since he sat, other than when we play Counter-Strike and most of TNF and some other boys come in and play, and it's normally just a riot because we've all got varying skill levels and it's a good laugh usually. He hasn't played an awful lot, so I know that he's been thinking about doing that. And then finally, like, what is coming next on the channel? What is coming in the next few weeks and months? Obviously, as I said, Saunders is going to have his update. We will have MGS2 gameplay dropping and MGS3. I'm going to have to sit and play through that. I'll have to collect my thoughts and finish the MGS2 video as well, because that was a lot of fun. And then 3 will be fascinating to see where it goes before we make the jump to the PS3 and that era. We've done a video recently on the downfall of game, which was actually a video we recorded in the summer last year, just never quite made its way to light. And that got quite a good reception. It had I think it was our highest ever views by far. So we're thinking about maybe diving into what happened to Blockbuster. I think we've had a lot of comments around what happened there and some of the similarities. So we might do a little bit of a deep dive on that. I know that Saunders in particular was a massive proponent of Blockbuster love in our group. He used to go all the time. So that's something that he's had his eye on. And then, of course, we're going to have more game hunts. We're going to have more vlogs, the odd challenge video. I know that certainly Saunders has a Switch and he's got a Game Boy, and he obviously dug out that SNES that he doesn't have games for. And I know for a fact he'll want to get involved in that. We're going to have to bring that to the channel and bring you guys' thoughts and feelings into that. Me, myself, I am obviously collecting my subsets and we'll go on some hunts and what have you. But there's some consoles that I've had my eye on. Like, I do have a GameCube, and I never had a crazy amount of games for the GameCube when it was out, but I did have a couple of first-party games, like Pokémon Colosseum and what have you, that are just unreal. But my grail that I have is XD Gale of Darkness, because I didn't know as a child that that game existed. If I knew that that game existed, I would have purchased that 100% and played through it. That game is now worth a fair few quid, and I've never ever played it before. So I think at some point we're going to have to sit down, play Colosseum and do a deep dive into it, and then get XD Gale of Darkness and do a dedicated video on that, because that is one of the games that I've had my eye on as the one that needs to be on these shelves behind me, because I think it would just be absolutely amazing to have that, and other first party GameCube exclusives, because I think it'd be really nice to give that console a bit of love. It's never been massively popular in the UK. I think it's why the games actually cost a fair few quid more than, say, their PlayStation counterparts for something that's on both, just because people didn't actually buy it. I quite liked the GameCube. I did actually quite like it. So that's definitely going to be something that I'm going to have to consider checking out. And then, yeah, as we're rolling into the summer, I think we're looking at obviously doing more game hunts, as I said. I think we want to try and get into some car boots and what have you as well, and maybe do some trips further afield, because I know that Saunders has had some in Spain and he's had some in the sort of Birmingham area, but there's a few game shops that we've had an eye on that I think we're going to have to go visit at some point. Like, it's an absolute necessity. But yeah, going into the remainder of this spring and into the summer, that's kind of what we're thinking in terms of the channel and what's going to come next. But what we would like to hear from you guys at home is, what would you like to see on the channel? What are the things that I'd spoke about there that excite you the most? Or what things do you think we are missing out on that we need to get involved in? And don't say GTA, because that's not coming out this year. Let's be real, that's going to get delayed again. And yeah, if you like the videos, press like and press subscribe, because it helps the channel out a lot. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.